All right. So this question says to round the number 402,279 to the nearest hundred. Just to make sure we all agree on the same language here, we'll go ahead and review what each place means. The place that's furthest to the right is the ones place. The next one is the tens place. The next place is the hundreds place. And then you have thousands, and then 10,000s, and then 100,000s. Okay, so if we're going to round this number to the nearest hundred, what we need to do is this, and this is going to be for large numbers. This is a scenario you don't always run into in your other math classes where you're dealing with large numbers, but for chemistry, this could come up every so often. If we're trying to round a large number to the nearest hundred, we want to draw a mark after the hundreds place. So I'm going to draw that in yellow, right here. So when we draw that mark, we're going to keep everything to the left of that mark. And then decide if you want to round up or down based on the number after the mark. So the number after the mark here is this 7. Now, based on that 7, can you tell me whether I should round up or round down? When we round, we check to see if the numbers are between 0 to 4 or between 5 to 9. If it's between 0 and 4, we round down. And if it's between 5 and 9, we round up. Now, since the number I've boxed in is a 7, which of these should I do, round down or round up? Well, since it's 7, we would round up. So that means this number right before the mark should increase, and we start by writing 4022. And then all the numbers after the mark will change to 0. Now, since we round up, we don't use the 2 here. Instead, we go up by 1 and say 3. And then since we had 2 numbers after, those numbers both change to 0. So when you round this number to the nearest hundred, the hundreds place is going to be the last non-zero number right here. And your answer would be 4023 because you've rounded up, and then everything after gets replaced with zeros. So in the next question, it's the same thing. We have the same number, but now we are asked to round it to the nearest 1,000. So if we're rounding to the nearest 1,000, let's again review. We have ones in the first place, tens in the next, hundreds in the third place, and thousands in the next place over. So thousands is the place we meant to round it to, so we put our mark right in front of the thousands, and now we can decide to round based on the next number in the sequence. So now, based on this 2, do we round up or down? We'll round down here because we are going to say that this number is less than 5. 0 to 4 means round down, and so your answer is still 402, and because you're rounding down, you keep that 2 the same. You don't move up. Everything else changes to 0. So all the numbers after the mark are now 0, and we've got 402,000. So that's how you would round to the nearest 1,000. So now let's talk about small decimals. So here we have a decimal number 2.1568, and we are asked to round that to the nearest tenth. So for anyone who's not used to the way they say these words, tenth means 1 decimal place. Hundredth means 2 decimal places. And thousandth means 3 decimal places. All right, so if we're doing the number 2.1568, the first place is the tenths place. The next place is the hundredths place. And the next place after that is the thousandths. So if we're rounding to the nearest tenth, we are going to draw our mark after the tenths place. So I'll take my yellow marker, and after this tenths place, I'm going to draw a mark. So I've got 2.1 definitely in my answer, and then I can decide whether to round up or down based on the 5. So based on this 5, should I round the previous number up or down? Bearing in mind that 0 to 4 means down, and 5 to 9 means up. So we no longer say 2.1, we now say 2.2, and you can remove all the numbers after the mark. So that's different from the big numbers. With the big numbers, we added in zeros, but in this case, we can just cut it off and say 2.2 and not have to write anything after.